Hey everyone, this is Darren, also known as Bombadil from No Guts No Galaxy, and I'd like to welcome you to the MechWarrior Online Dev Vlog number 7. This is our chance to get to know the devs and hear directly from them on the past, present, and future of MechWarrior Online. In this episode, we'll hear about the upcoming new map, the development of the VINDICATOR battle mech, as well as various game updates from Paul. Let's jump right in with a conversation I had with Thad Jancy, senior level designer for PGI and one of the creative minds behind the upcoming new map, sometimes called Factory, sometimes called Industrial, with the final name yet to be announced. First of all, thank you for joining me, Thad, and let's get right into the first question. How did the idea for the new map develop, or how was it conceived?
Well, I think from the very beginning, a big industrial area was one of the sort of the main ideas that we always wanted to do. In some of the other maps, we have sort of small portions of the map are an industrial area. But in this one, the whole thing is, and I think that the players want the idea of fighting over something that's worthwhile fighting over. And unlike some of the other maps where it's just like a big barren landscape, this one presumably represents some kind of a high value target. And the whole thing is one sort of big factory.
When you first sat down to design the new map, was there a gameplay goal you wanted to achieve? And if so, what was it? Okay,
so the main gameplay sort of goal I have with this map is to encourage shorter range combat. It's divided into several fairly distinct regions. There's not many places where you can get really long sight lines over the whole map, and so my hope is, and this is what we've experienced in the playtest so far, is that it encourages a lot of little fights all over the map in different areas. And it's actually worked out really good so far. We of all the times we've played it, I would say none of them have really been the same, and I've had battles all over the map.
Of all of the maps that we currently have in MechWarrior Online, which would you say the new map resembles the most?
It's got similarities to a couple of them. It's about the exact same size as Caustic Valley. It's similar to Canyon Network in as much as there's a lot of cover, and it's very easy to sort of move large groups of mechs around the map undetected by the other team, so there's a lot of possibilities for sort of surprise attacks and ambushes. And then I guess it's similar to River City or Frozen City, in that there's just a lot of buildings and a lot of cover and a lot of stuff to sort of sneak around and hide behind.
Alright, and how would you say the new map is different from what's currently available?
Well, it looks a lot different, first of all. It's a nighttime map, but it's very brightly lit for the most part. There's a couple of dark areas, but it's a very brightly lit nighttime map, and the color scheme is a lot different than what we're used to. There's really bright sort of different colors, which is definitely not like any of the other maps.
In terms of design, what are you most proud of in regards to the new map?
My favorite thing about Factory Map, and I'll say right now, it's my favorite map, and it's not close. I really like it, and the thing I like most about it is just fighting everywhere all over the map. We've playtested it a bunch of times, and no two games have been the same, and I've been in battles in probably every spot all over it, and you know, there's a lot of diversity.
It seems like a pretty immersive map with all of the industrial buildings. Does it feel claustrophobic at all?
Yeah, you're immersed in the factory. I wouldn't call it claustrophobic, and there's a lot of areas where there's a lot of open space, and it is you know, it's a fair size map. It's the same size as Caustic Valley, which is, you know, the entire map of Caustic Valley except as a factory. So there's a lot of open areas as well as a lot of cover. But yeah, there's nowhere in there where you don't get the idea that you are inside a very big industrial area.
What do you think the players will like most about the new map?
Yeah, the players, they're going to like the same things as me, because I play the game a lot, and I'm only going to design maps that I want to play as a player. So, you know, they're going to like the new color scheme for sure. They're going to like the lighting is very dramatic. I think it looks really cool. And you know, like me, they're just going to like being able to fight all over the map, being able to set up ambushes, being able to you know, sneak big groups of mechs all over the place. I think it's going to be really good.
And finally, are there any other cool or unique things you can tell us about the map that we might not have touched on yet?
There's a couple of cool areas. I've got some little tunnels in there that you can sneak around in. I've got some passageways that are pretty dark, so you should be able to sneak through, you know, out of the bright lights for a couple minutes at a time. And there's a sort of a mech hangar with some battle mechs inside it. And there's my favorite thing is chimneys shooting fire, and we've got a lot of those.
Fire chimneys, excellent, and thank you for the interview, Thad. And next we'll hear from David about the process behind building a new battle mech chassis and all of its variants.
When building a new mech, one of the first things I do is I get a list of all the variants that exist within the time frame of the game, and I start looking at them and figuring out potential hardpoints. And once I sort of get them mapped out a bit, I choose which ones are actually going to go in the game. And then those ones, I finalize the hardpoints on them, to kind of balance them out a bit with each other. And then I'm able to send that information on to the artists so they can begin modeling and texturing all the weapons. When choosing variants for the game, the first thing I look at is the timeline. Obviously, any variants from ahead of our current time aren't going to make it into the game. But even some old ones either have obsolete equipment or primitive equipment, or they're meant to be rare and extinct by this point in time. Then I kind of start mapping out their hard points and seeing what those are going to look like. I take one of the variants, I guess the standard variant from one of the technical readouts, and use that kind of as the base, and that variant will be in the game. And then I compare it to the remaining variants and look for variants with distinct hardpoints and other ways to sort of differentiate themselves, so as best as possible, you know, each variant will feel unique. For the Vindicator, the variants we chose were the 1R, the 1AA, and the 1X. Those are the standard variants. And the reason those were chosen was basically for the Vindicator, they were really the only variants that existed in the timeline right now. There is a SIC variant that's used by the St. Ives Compact, but instead of using that, we decided to make our hero mech for the Vindicator the St. Ives Blues, which is the mech that the SIC variant would later be based upon. So, you know, in order to have the St. Ives Blues in the game, we'd have to leave out the SIC. As for why we chose the St. Ives Blues, there's only really two canon hero mechs for the Vindicator. The Blues, and then the other one, I believe, is the Vong. And the Blues had the more interesting backstory, and it ties into a faction that doesn't have too much representation in the game right now. When we're designing mechs for the game, we try and use the lore as much as we can. One of the major things is the timeline and the time frame that the game is currently in. It limits which variants and mechs are available. And whenever we make a new mech, I read through the TROs, the technical readouts, and any other canon information I can to get little bits of lore and anything that I can turn into a quirk, or otherwise, when I'm designing these mechs, try and make them play as they're described in the books to try and fill the roles that they were meant to as best as possible. When I look at applying quirks to a mech, there's two main factors that come into play. One is the lore. I'll read through the technical readouts and try and pull out anything that can be used as a quirk. Additionally, just like the look of the mech can sometimes influence that as well. Like the Centurion has a big shield arm, so then we're able to give it an armor buff onto that arm. The other major factor is game balance. First, balancing, when making a new mech, balancing its variants among each other, so that if one of them, for some reason, it looks like it might be underperforming, we can give it some quirks to balance it out, or if one looks too good, we can pull it back a bit. The other, I guess, once we finish with that, we look at sort of the bigger picture and take all those variants and compare them to the other mechs that are already in the game and make sure everything stacks up pretty evenly with each other.
And finally, we'll hear an update on weapon modules from Paul, as well as getting a first-hand look at the upcoming unit creation tools.
Hey folks, this is another dev vlog, and just a quick update for some things that are coming down the pipe. One of them is the new modules. We've taken a look at the current set of weapon modules and we listened to your feedback. They're being re-released and they're getting all 5 tiers ready for you. They're also getting rid of the micro heat that's being added to all of them. So basically these modules will no longer generate any sort of extra heat if you do equip them. Another thing that's coming up is the Merc unit creation tools. Now these unit creation tools are meant for you to create your own guilds, essentially is what they are. They're pretty much ready to go. You're going to have an inner sphere map that you can play around with, take a look at, and that's pretty much it. There's going to be a fairly big implementation on the next patch, so you'll see what you're going to be able to play around with. And I'm also going to give you a quick preview at the end of this video of how to create a unit and how you can interact with the current inner sphere map. One thing I do want to clarify is that there was some talk on the forums about using the Merc unit C-bill coffers as some sort of method of transferring C-bills between players. Now this is not going to be the case. Those C-bills are meant to be a one-way transaction from players into the Merc unit. The Merc unit leader can then use those C-bills to upgrade defenses on planets. That he can also bid on contracts for planet takeover, but that won't be in place until the next phase of community warfare comes into place. So do not think that this is a way that you can actually share stuff with your friends. That is not a system what this coffer system is going to be built for. And yeah, other than that, we'll see you on the next devlog.
Hey guys, this is Paul here, just here to show you a quick introduction on how to create a unit in MechWarrior Online using the new faction page. And by clicking this button that is now active, we'll be taken to the inner sphere map. Now this map is scrollable. You can zoom in and out on it. As you zoom in, you're going to get more and more detail, and you're going to get more planetary information as well. As you can see here, the main planets or capital planets are listed off, and as you start zooming in, you're going to start seeing the district capitals coming into play. Further in you go, you're going to see the location of planets, and as you keep zooming in, you're going to see the names of the planets come in as well. So you can look and find your favorite planet. Now, the first phase of community warfare does not have an interactive version of this map. Like, yes, you'll be able to do exactly what I just showed you, but you're not going to be able to click on a planet and get full details of it quite yet. That's going to come with the major release of actual faction warfare that will be happening along the borders of Free Rasselhaug and Periphery, as well as the clans start pushing down into this zone. But onto the thing about creating units. Now, one of the buttons here is create unit. Fancy that. So we'll click that. And this is the first thing you're going to see. You're going to be asked for a name for your unit, which has a maximum of 35 characters. We're going to quickly type in a name here. Let's try Paul's, I don't know, Ultra Nito clan. And that means my abbreviation will probably be, oh, damn. This kind of happened to me the first time I did Mech Lab tutorial, but anyways. And we're going to submit. Now remember that you're restricted to Latin alphanumeric characters, so there's no special case characters. You won't be able to use alt codes or anything to enter weird character types. There are a certain number of possible abbreviations and punctuation that you can put in here. That's the hyphen, 2 round braces, the space, and a quote. So that's why I was able to get away with putting quote in Paul's. So I'm going to click submit. And here we have it. Our entire unit has just been created. Here are all the ranks. Now, as I mentioned earlier, is that the default loadout or default setting for ranks is going to be a standard US military ranking system. Me, as the unit leader, has automatically been set to General of the Army. I can come in here and I can actually just start removing all these. And there is a maximum of 32 ranks that you can have in your unit. But I will quickly show you what you can do. Now what I'm going to do is quickly add a rank here. And this is going to be just some cool dude. So if you know any cool dudes, you can stick them in this rank. Now, by default, it's going to be the very first rank. So if you want to be able to resort this, just click and drag, right? And we'll put this up here. And now just some cool dude is considered cooler than all these other guys. Along with the rank itself, what you can do is set privileges. Now, some of the things are locked to the leader only. However, if the leader feels fit, then some cool dude can, let's say, invite members. He can kick members. He can assign ranks. Can he view the coffer balance? Sure. Can he view the coffer transactions, which is kind of like a general ledger? And I'll say, no, he can't. And no, he can't play in officer chat. And no, he can't set MOTD. So I'm just going to save this. And now some cool dude has all those permissions. So if I switch away and switch back to him, you'll see that his permissions are saved. Now, one thing, as the unit leader, I can come in here and view the coffers, right? And this is how many C-bills that are have been donated to your unit. Now, remember, this is not a free reign for trading C-bills between players. Players will not be able to withdraw funds from this account. C-bills can be donated in with a minimum of 50,000 C-bills. So we'll donate, let's say, 1 million C-bills here. Donate. It's going to confirm that I want to do this, and I say yes. And as you'll see, that the player's name is listed here, the transaction date at which it happened, and the amount. Now this is for the Merc unit leader. As he's coming through here, and he sets up a rule saying, every week I want each one of my members to donate a minimum of 50,000 C-bills. Well, he can come in here and check the transaction date and make sure that everybody's done their fair share. And that's pretty much it for the original implementation. As you get members added to your unit, they'll show up here. You'll have full unit capabilities. If you want, you can add members, you can remove members, you can invite members by name, which is something that's very, very handy. You do not have to have that person on your friends list in order to invite them. That way you don't have to populate both your friends list and your unit list with the same names. So yeah, that's the first look at it, and hope you guys take a look at it yourselves when we put this out very soon. I can't give the exact date yet, but it is very soon. It'll probably be within the month of August. So we'll see you then.
And that concludes the MWO Dev Vlog number 7. Be sure to stay tuned for future vlogs, including more information on the development of MechWarrior Online, community spotlights, and the exciting future of the MWO competitive scene. And on behalf of Piranha Games and No Guts No Galaxy, thank you for watching, and until next time, Mech Warriors.